And live from Brussels, it's a very special edition of ZN Live. That's right. Today is the shortest day of the year. It's the solstice of winter, and that's why we have our kit on. And of course, we are approaching the Christmas weekend, so we've all got to finish our Christmas shopping and get ready for an exciting Christmas weekend. And of course, we've got our hats, and Jesus is decorated like a Christmas tree, so that's great to see. Now, one of the things that we are quite excited about, and it's kind of like in the Christmas spirit, because Threads have come to Europe last week, and we've been experimenting with Threads. We've been setting up accounts, seeing what's happened. We had a story in Politico, EU influence. Thanks for Sarah for writing that. Very interesting discussion happening. And of course, another channel. Do we need another channel? Do we need to talk about another channel? So maybe I'll go to you first, Irem. You've set up an account on Threads. How has it been so far?
I have set up my account and I've been more on the listening mode. So far, I haven't really written much, but there is a lot of excitement and a lot of conversation already happening, which is different to what I've experienced with other platforms that I jumped on throughout the past year. I feel like this one is going to stick a bit more than the others. So let's see. We need to keep watching, I think.
Absolutely. And actually, Jesus, we've been talking about this quite a bit. And I'm interested because you mentioned Rosa, who is a journalist and who basically is using that. Tell me a little bit, what is her perspective from a journalist point of view on Threads and what role it might play in the future?
Yeah, so actually the point is that it's true that when we were having Twitter that we all loved at the time, you had then a place where all the conversation more or less, or most of the conversation was happening. So you could then just follow the different people that you wanted. You had the bell there, so like this you were getting the notifications. And then suddenly, since the last year, 2 years more or less, things have been happening with Elon Musk, and then many people are leaving, and then Twitter became what was not Twitter. Okay, so X just killed Twitter, and now the point is like, even I was talking to her, but also with other journalists, they were saying like, okay, if we got a space that actually was giving us, or were giving us what was giving us at the time, a space where actually the conversation is centralized and that you could more or less have people, is much better for our lives, you see, because then you have the place where you know that you need to go to learn more and all that. Now it looks like we're going to a place where actually we are kind of testing and opening to other channels, to different channels and all that. That requires then to be listening, like multi-listening approach, that then makes a bit more difficult the life of some people, in this case, that they need to follow different users. So that then is a bit more complicated. For me, another thing that I've seen is also funny, because if Threads had to become a substitute of Twitter or X, now it's going in a different direction, at least for me. And I tell you why, because I had Instagram, and then on Instagram, my narrative was different than the one that I was using on Twitter. I was using it for different purposes. So my creative area was more on Instagram, and the part more like our corporates or updates on sometimes technology and all that was more on Twitter. Now, when I open Thread, I see that I'm getting a lot of followers, but followers mainly for Instagram, because as it is linked. So then suddenly Thread would be, if I want to keep that audience, I should then have more the narrative in the creative side, not necessarily on the other one, because you see, so now it's causing me a difficulty, because actually what I want is to bring the people that I had on X. So as you see, exciting moment, keeping us busy, which is not bad neither, but an interesting space to explore. Actually, that's how I see. It's a space to explore, to check what is going on and how it can help us.
Yeah, and I think that because we're approaching the end of the year and it's time for New Year's resolutions, it's a good moment to look at Threads as a new platform to explore. I mean, the first weeks are always a pilot to see what it does, but then maybe you can say, okay, I want to clean up the followers that I have and the people that I want to follow, so that I actually get the kind of thing that I'm interested in. Because with a lot of the social networks that you already have, you kind of have the hundreds or thousands of followers, and you don't really want to go through rethinking this. But I think this could be a moment of kind of cleaning up and say, okay, let's start fresh with a new social channel and see what we have. Evie, what were your first reactions to Threads?
So far I'm enjoying it, to be frank. But it definitely feels to me like like stripped down version of Twitter for now. So I mean, I don't see the hashtags that much, and I do see a lot of influencers. But I mean, from my perspective, I think it's here to stay. As Irem mentioned, I think it's like it's evident that the bubble and it's like Europe actually has embraced it very well. And I also think that because it's also a platform that is algorithmically curated, just like Facebook and Instagram, this will mean that people might like get a bit more attached to it because of the fact that they're going to actually see content and posts that are based on their interests, rather than like in a chronological order. So for me, I mean, there's a lot to explore more on Threads, but I really look forward to like seeing the bubble embracing it even further.
Yeah, I think it's very interesting. And if you compare it to Blue Sky or Mastodon, basically, I think the adoption's been much faster in this first week. And we'll obviously see in Jan whether that trend persists. But the thing is that it's very much a self-fulfilling prophecy. If people believe that it's a place where people are going, it will then get a lot of people coming. I actually see a lot of journalists wanting to go there and being quite happy because they feel that they're being kind of kicked out of Twitter because Twitter doesn't like journalists anymore. And so there's a very interesting process. Now, if the journalists go to Threads and then officials and politicians go there, that creates an ecosystem. And I think for the EU bubble, that's enough because we don't need millions of people. We just need the 100,000 or the 50,000 people that matter to the EU conversation. And I think in Jan, we might see that there's already enough of people there so that it starts a genuine shift. So I think that's very interesting. I think that the main thing that we told, I told Politico was this is an important strategic shift that we need to look at. It's not something that you can ignore. Because of the election coming up, it's even more important to be ready for what's coming and to start experimenting. Now, what I'm very excited about with Threads is the commitment to building an open platform. This gets very technical and a bit boring, but it means that the platform is using ActivityPub, which is an open standard, and essentially you could post from one identity on Threads, and it could be posted on Mastodon, on WordPress, on other channels. And I think that if that continues, and that's the intention, it's already being piloted, then I think it could change not only the way we think of social networks, but the entire communication architecture. So I'm very excited about that change. Now, today is a special edition of ZN Live because we have the ZN team on board. We have Irem and Evie who have been workshopping and talking to people about the latest trends. In fact, you had a workshop with BF, the Brussels International Association Forum, where you were showing people how to use social channels. Of course, Threads was not there yet. I think you were mainly focused on LinkedIn. So, Evie, what was your takeaway from this workshop? Did anything surprise you? Did people seem completely digitally minded, or still a lot of work to do?
Actually, it's quite a memorable day, like from the past year. I think I will always, like remember this experience, especially, like because I shared the scene with Irem and Marcela, and it was great, like to basically have, like the Zeden team being very active, on a podium in a sense. But I think it was great to kind of like embark on this, journey of, engaging, with the audience and navigating through, the digital ambassadorship, issue in a sense, or like not problematic, but basically like things that associations have like been speaking with about like in the past years. I think we delved into expert content and strategies for social media engagement, and we also unraveled tactics, and we truly digitally, like represented the whole, like sphere. For me, the highlight was the interaction with the audience, because actually we were very surprised, positively surprised that, like there was a lot of enthusiasm and receptiveness from the audience, and they were very, very willing to, dynamically engage and interact with the session. They were asking questions and they were all about it. I think the levels, like of expertise kind of like varied. But I think at the end, like of the workshop, everybody really much enjoyed it. And I think, like we didn't leave any questions unanswered. So from that perspective, I think it was a really great, unique opportunity. And I look forward to doing more workshops in the coming year, because I did really enjoy the interaction and the engagement with, client side.
Yeah, and we saw a lot of posts on LinkedIn, actually. If people go to our to the ZN channel, there were several posts with a lot of engagement from this audience. And it's interesting because, we've been doing workshop on social media for many, many years now. And there's always a kind of very broad spectrum, I feel, of people in the audience, like people who have done quite a bit, and then people who are still really new to this. And you kind of feel like it's strange that in 2023, some people still don't really understand that they need to have a story online and that it benefits them, and then it benefits their organization. So I find that quite surprising. And again, this is, you're focused on LinkedIn, but of course, the next session you need to say, well, how do you mix that with Threads and X and maybe Mastodon? What do you do? So Irem, what was your takeaway from the session?
I think exactly what Evi said. It was interesting and great to see how engaged the audience was. Overall, I think there was unanimity in agreeing that they need to be present on social media, specifically on LinkedIn, also to help their organizations and associations messages come across strongly. But I feel like people understand this, but they are not necessarily putting it into action because they feel maybe a bit shy. They feel like they don't have the skill set to be able to do it confidently and in a consistent way. But I hope the session that we did last week and our messaging in general helped them understand that it doesn't have to be a very difficult task. It doesn't have to take too much of their time. There are very small actions that they can do every week, every day to still be on top of the conversations that's happening online. And we saw a lot of people posting on the day or the day after about the event, reconnecting with each other on social media, sharing each other's posts. And already this week, it's been a week after now. And already this is like a very winding down kind of week before Christmas. But I'm seeing some of the connections I've made at BF being active on social media. So that makes me feel hopeful for the coming year.
Yeah, it's very interesting because actually one of the things that we teach our clients and the team is, you've got to be active on these channels, which means you've got to go there, you've got to find out what's happening, and then you have to take some kind of action. Now, it can begin by simply liking, resharing things, and making very small comments, because that just makes you part of the conversation. And I think people at the beginning are reluctant to do that because they think it's going to be this enormous amount of time they have to commit to. And of course, it's not. It can be done gradually. But then you have these new channels like Threads. And I think people go like, oh my God, I just got my head around LinkedIn. And now you're coming up with this new thing. And I think we have this real question of social media fatigue, which is like, I just don't know where to put my time, how to do it. And I think this is something that we all need to grapple with, which is how can we organize some kind of flow so that we look at different channels and we try to curate the people that we follow so that the content we see is actually interesting. And I find, by the way, that with X, the content I'm seeing is increasingly annoying and all over the place. It's like these weird things from these, bizarre posts on the Israel conflict and then some other topic. And it's just bombarding you with things that you feel it's really the algorithm that's telling you this is what you should see. And I think it feels much more difficult to curate than Threads. And I think with Threads, I think anyway, it's the beginning, which makes it easier, but I also think it's a clean design. So Jesus, I think you've also been playing with this, but what I wanted to turn to you for is looking back at this year. Do you have any kind of highlights that you take away into next year and that you're most excited about? And maybe, what's your highlight and what are you looking forward to in 2024?
Well, the year has been very, very active. I'm very happy to see how during this full year we have been consolidating and growing our network, which has been really amazing. How we have been bringing new talent, new people. At the same time, it's been a great year to experiment. AI has been fascinating. You saw on last week episode that you can check below on our channel, and all that we were talking about how many things happened during the year. So for that, I mean, we couldn't get bored in the year. To find a highlight, I don't know, it's difficult to find one. There is one particular thing that I have been involved on different moments along the year, because I like sometimes that when you make something at the same time, it's bringing something to society. And there's been some work we have been doing with vaccine, with the vaccines organizations and all that, to solve some issues that there are in terms of information on the high and the low level. Because it's true that in terms of immunization, not all the data is confronted. When I was learning about that, I was like, wow, we just come from a pandemic, and it's true that the information is not shared even between countries inside the EU. That for me is like shocking still. Like, how can we protect it if actually the information is not totally sure? So we have been, as I then, collaborating, supporting several initiatives, even creating some applications that are useful even for families to have a track of what are your vaccines and all that. I don't even know what were the vaccines I got as a child and when I got that and all, because at that time there was not it's not easy to track that back, and maybe even the doctors, there was no information. Nowadays we have that possibilities, and we have been helping on creating this kind of tools that for me is quite valuable. So I love having been part of that.
Yeah, I find the work we do on vaccine really fascinating, and it's one kind of area that is so important. And we were there before the hype, before COVID, 10 years ago. And I think the key thing is that every time we work on this, we're trying to help people communicate better information, to basically raise the problem of misinformation. Say, how do you filter this with all this mess, all this confusing information? How can we get doctors to do things? And I agree with you. I think you feel, this is something so important, and you literally can do work that can save lives, because if people understand that they need to vaccinate their kids against the, very serious diseases, just that post on Facebook from a respectable doctor might just make that decision happen. Evie, what was your highlight from this year?
I think, I have a lot of highlights, and I don't want to kind of like, play favorites with, projects and clients, but I feel like this year gave me for the first time the opportunity to explore the VR words, it's like in a different perspective. So it was definitely very, creative, and it was a procedure that taught me a lot. And I think, we can continue, Jesus, to build, like forward in that way. What I enjoyed overall with, like my F&B clients, primarily it was the creativity that was put in the communication on PPWR, because I feel like, this kind of like regulation file demanded a lot of creativity, because it was something applicable to all industries. So, in order for your voice to be heard more, I think, it's like the example, of forming, like good media partnerships, and being, like on top of your contents, being able to, publish and, like effective content was very, very important. But yeah, no, overall, I think what, counted to me the most for another years in a row is to be able to learn and grow together and alongside my clients, because I feel like, this mutual exchange of, knowledge and the ideas is not only about, like the, deliveries of projects, it's also to have this kind of like continuous inspiration and work alongside people that, underscore the essence of the true collaboration. So I'm very thankful for that.
Yeah, and I see that Daniel is saying happy holidays from Valencia, and he's also saying, I love the Santa hanging from your mic, Phil. That is Santa Claus. I hope that you can see that, he's joined us today. So fully decorated, no AI, no CGI. This is all real. So for
the
us,
man himself,
all real.
Absolutely. And I think, Evie, what you said about client relationships is very important. You can see that, great collaborations leads to great results. And I'm not just saying that as a tweet. I think it's really that once the client realizes that it's about partnership, and of course it's our job to really build that, then you're looking for solutions together, and we can access our network to find people to help on all the things where you need technical expertise and stuff like that. And then you have these really deep collaborations. We had some fantastic feedbacks from some clients. Yes. I saw a feedback form coming through, I think, a couple of weeks saying, 10 out of 10, there's nothing you could do to improve, which obviously we're not getting from every single client. And we know there's a lot we can improve, but when we hear that, it's pretty good. So that's really nice. We've had some very, very nice feedback. And, we want to really make the relationships with our clients a really nice and deep process where they enjoy working with us, we enjoy working with them, and we do some amazing collaborations. Irem, what was your highlight?
Similar to Evie, it's difficult to single out one highlight, but for the sake of this ZN Live, I will pick one. I think from a client and project point of view, coming back to the healthcare and communication side of things, we worked with DG Santé this year to produce comic books that aim and targeted towards teenagers to teach them about the importance of vaccines. Actually, it was another vaccine communication campaign, but I think it's a very different approach to what we usually do and how we usually communicate, more targeted towards the general Brussels bubble. This time we took a very, very different approach. It was a bit out of our usual comfort zone, and I think we did a very good job, and it's very exciting to see the creativity and how it was implemented. It was a great collaboration overall, and very proud final results. So that could be one of my client highlights. I also want to add more like a professional or overall highlight for last year. I want to reflect back at the EU Influencer event that we did in September. And that's also the 25th anniversary of ZN. I wasn't the one organizing the event. I was just co-hosting and supporting Phil to, bring the online collaboration onto the stage a bit. But I think for me, the highlight was that it was a very successful event, of course, but to see our network and our clients all in that room together that day. We didn't have everyone, but we had a very big crowd, and the engagement and the feedback we got in general about the event, but also about ZN and working with ZN, our collaboration, both from our suppliers, our team members, but our clients. I think that was a very high moment for me for this year, and the buzz from that kept going for a very long time.
Yeah, I totally agree. That was my highlight, was actually the 25th event. And, obviously for me, it was like, okay, this is a milestone. I'm getting old, but I can look back and say, this is a fantastic journey. And it's a great celebration where we also got to play with new tools. We were doing, Jesus did some amazing behind the scenes support to get the live stream and the kind of connection and make it really flow like a genuine media event where you had people in the room, but the online event was looking quite strong in a fantastic venue, Spirito. So I think that combination was great. And I think it's good to mark those moments. The last time we did something on that scale was for the 20th. So I think it's nice to have these moments. And I want to come back to what you said, Irem. I think what's really important, what we hear, from people and from clients, is that working with the ZN network is being part of a community of people who enjoy what they do, bring a lot of positive energy to projects, and are great fun to work with. And, of course, we want to hit those KPIs. We want to deliver for our clients. We want to deliver quality. That's all, part of the fabric. But if you can do that with people that you really enjoy working with, and you can have fun because you're being stretched in these new challenges, I think that's amazing. And I really think we've got to some kind of sweet spot. And, you all know that we've obviously, having 25 years of experience means you have a lot of ups and downs. You can't take this for granted. You can really have moments which are much more challenging. And I think we're in a place where the team is exceptionally strong and the network is really becoming a community of people who are finding, the lifestyle they want, because people are working from all over the world. and delivering fantastic work with people that they enjoy working with. And we include our clients in that. I think building the clients as part of our community is really a key thing. Now, since it is Christmas, we've all got to pick those Christmas movies to watch. And I'm going to start with Irem because you are the film expert at ZN. So what is your Christmas movie? Do you watch it every year? And what other Christmas movies would you recommend? So do you watch a Christmas movie every year, or you change?
A Christmas movie every year, yes. And it could be one from the old times. I definitely make sure I get in the mood with a Christmas movie, but I don't have one movie that I would watch every year on and on.
Okay.
That would get a bit boring. Maybe Harry Potter from time to time, but not really a Christmas movie. There are a lot of Christmas highlights, I think, but I will pick The Holiday as my favorite Christmas movie. It's a bit cheesy, but it's beautiful. It has nice English cottage vibes. It has the LA vibe. It has amazing looking actors. So it's sight for the sore eye. So I would say that's my favorite Christmas movie.
What about you, Evie? What is your Christmas movie for this year or in general?
Not this year, in general. I am the type of person that will rewatch movies over and over again. And my Christmas movie, I do watch it every year, and it's Love Actually. I know that is cheesy again, but Love Actually is all around. So no, I really, really do enjoy it. And I also enjoy watching the Christmas episodes of favorite like series like Friends. So it's like I really enjoy doing that because it really gets me in the mood, and the build up to Christmas. Actually,
that's good as well.
I see. So Daniel is suggesting Die Hard and Home Alone, which are two excellent choices. Jesus, what is your Christmas movie choice?
So actually, as I have kids that are starting to watch movie in family and all that, we are starting to watch many of them. So starting from E.T., you remember? So I'm even coming back to all movies and all. So E.T. actually was happening during Christmas. No, it was the Gremlins also. The Gremlins.
Yeah,
actually.
that's a scary.
That was happening during Christmas. So that was cool. But I will say one that is Klaus, that is not so old, and that one is a Spanish animation movie that actually is one of the best in Netflix. So it's beautifully done. So watch it because it's a beautiful tale. So nice to watch in Christmas.
Yeah, even and for people who want if you want an alternative take of Christmas movies, I would recommend the Christmas episode of The Bear. Fantastic series for those of you who watched it, and it's called Fishes. Now, it is not a feel-good Christmas movie, but it's fantastic. And if you don't walk out of that with a minor heart attack, I don't know what will, but it's fantastic preparation for the absolute worst Christmas meal that you can ever think of. Jesus?
There is also a character that has become part of the family almost, is the Grinch, actually, because that movies all the time also at home. The Grinch, yeah. That's
okay, cool. So now let's go to our recommendations. And before that, we have Daniel having another recommendation, which is Jingle All the Way with Arnold Schwarzenegger. I don't know if I can sit through 2 hours of that movie, but okay. Irem, what is your recommendation for this week?
My recommendation is for actually starting the new year. I have done this. This is called 5-year journal Q&A. So it's like asking you a question every day, and you need to answer it the same question at the same day every year across 5 years. It's a great way to start journaling. I think if you are into journaling or if you want to give it a try, that's one of the things that I have on my resolutions for next year. That's why I want to recommend this book for those people that are new to it. It gives you prompts in a way, and it's nice to see the way that your answers have changed over the years at the end of the 5-year period. So that's my recommendation. I think there are different versions of the same book as well, asking very specific questions for creative minds, for teenagers, for young adults, etc. So I think that's.
How long have you been doing this? How long have you been
I
doing
did this from 2014 to 2018, I think, those 5 years. Wow. And then I didn't do this specific journal, but I was just journaling myself in general. But this is a good way to get started into that journey if you haven't journaled before and if you want to give it a try.
Fantastic. And I would recommend Day One if you want a good journaling app on your iPhone. In fact, Apple has just released Journal, which is a free version of a journaling app, but Day One is slightly better. So I've started doing that on a daily basis. It's not too bad. Evie, what is your recommendation?
My recommendation, I think, well, okay. So yesterday or a couple days ago, I was browsing through Spotify and I found this very interesting EU-oriented, account called EU Spotify. And of course, I clicked on it. And apparently, they have public playlists for all countries of the new presidencies. So now they have already created, it's like a list for songs from Belgium, which is very, very interesting, especially for expats that haven't really, explored the culture of each country, basically leading the presidency. But they also have great playlists, like for kind of like world or international days. I think I saw World Teachers Day, Europe Day, Christmas. So, I mean, check it out. I think you might have, something interesting to explore. And my other resolution, not resolution, but I mean, my resolution this past year in combination with my suggestion is always Duolingo, because I'm on my strike. I'm keeping it clean, 333 days in a row at this point. So I really do recommend it because, I mean, it's also a commitment that is, very sustainable in someone's day. And you get to kind of like learn something. And fun tip is that they also rolled in classes for maths and music, which is also very interesting because now they have expanded a bit more. So that's it, I think.
Excellent. Yeah, and there's a fantastic Duolingo TED Talk actually about from the founder. So very good tip. I'm also on my 400th day or streak or something like that with Duolingo German. So I'm working on that. Jesus, what is your recommendation for this week?
You will permit me that, but guys, really, this is the recommendation for the year. I already recommended some weeks ago when it came out, but it's there. I mean, now I'm testing, and now that the holidays are coming, and if you have kids and you have the headsets, I was already talking to you, Phil, to Youssef, also from the network, who has a Quest 3. I know that Guido also has a Quest 3. If you guys like games, Assassin's Creed Nexus, come on, this is the game. You need to, if you can go for it, it's really amazing. You have a lot of fun also because actually it's introducing in the story the reality, the mixed reality, because actually in the story you are in your place and suddenly you get into the story, because there is this machine that is bringing you to the memories of the past, and really cool. So that's my suggestion again. So if you don't have a Quest 3, still think about that. If you have it and you don't have that game, think about it. Really cool. Yeah.
Excellent way to spend a relaxing Christmas by just shooting off people. But I will definitely give it a shot. My recommendation, absolutely. My recommendation is a new podcast called Dot Social by the CEO of Flipboard, Mike McHugh, and his entire focus is about the open web. And this is really interesting because it brings me back to Threads. And what he is saying is, look, we have this new open standard. Well, it's not new. The open standards have been there for ages, but we might just be at the point where they become significant, just like the open source movement changed the way we think about software, and like the internet itself changed the model that we had before, because you had CompuServe, you had AOL, which were locked mini internets, and until people moved to an open internet, very few things were possible, and we might be seeing something like that with the social internet. So I'm kind of excited to find out. They had the CEO of Mastodon last week. Before that, they had the founder of ActivityPub, which is a software doing that. So I'm kind of taking a deep dive down the ActivityPub and open internet rabbit hole, and hopefully we will find out what happens in Jan. So with this, I wish you all a fabulous Christmas weekend. Enjoy the Christmas market. If you're going in Brussels, have a fantastic time with your family and loved ones. And don't forget to say Merry Christmas to everyone online. We will see you again next week. In the meantime, have fun. Happy holidays. Bye, everyone.
Happy
Holidays.
holidays.
Happy holidays.